so paranoid that they see someone who is being kind to them as a threat. But neither Ellen or Ragatha give up on being kind. They both choose to be kind people despite the fact that they aren't appreciated for it. It may be that both of these characters have felt how being abused or neglected feels, and wouldn't want anybody else to have to deal with those feelings. Ragatha doesn't often fight back. I mean, she gets shot by Jax before the gunfight in episode 6 and initially has nothing to say about it. In tandem with that, she sometimes refuses to tell people what she really thinks, out of fear that it might hurt them. In episode 4, she lets it slip that she found Gangle annoying with her new mask while intoxicated, which she did apologize for. This is because Ragatha's #1 priority, like Ellen, isn't telling the truth, it's keeping the peace, even if she herself has to suffer for it. Ragatha also worries a lot about the people she's failed, that being Jax and Pomni. In episode 6, she discusses how she feels that her efforts to get on their good side failed, and that she's pushing them away with her kindness, and that they resent her for it. She focuses more on the relationships between characters than anyone else, something that again connects her to Ellen. In episode 5, it is revealed that Ragatha came from a wealthy family, which can relate to Ellen's promising achievements early in her life. Both of these people were on a great track in life, but both of these people are victims of abuse. Ragatha downplays it, but she alludes that her mother was not as kind to her as Ragatha is to others. Lots of people who have suffered abuse or neglect tend to downplay the impact it had on them in front of others. But I still think that since it was impactful enough to be mentioned, Ragatha suffered enough emotional abuse to be mindful about how words can make others feel. Something I like about both The Amazing Digital Circus and I Have No Mouth is that I can be drawn to different aspects of a lot of characters. I really like Jax's character, but I don't relate to his struggles. I'm not the world's biggest Ragatha or Ellen fan, but I deeply relate to their struggles and what motivates them. I can relate more to Gorrister than any other character, but he's not my favorite character. That would be Ted. I think it shows that both of these stories are so well written that I don't just focus on one character and one character only. Props to Gooseworks and Harlan Ellison for giving these worlds their all. Ragatha and Ellen are both peacekeepers. They believe with all the struggles their groups are presented with, how they interact does not have to be a struggle. If they can all get along, things can be easier and more enjoyable for everyone. Benny is a tragic character. From an outward perspective, Benny is the character who's been the most affected by Am's torture. He's been disfigured and distorted physically and mentally into a horrible, ape-like creature, with a lack of thinking power to match. In the game, he isn't even able to speak, as his vocal cords have long been ripped out. All the dialogue that comes from him comes from within his own mind, or from typing on a keyboard to properly communicate. Benny is the character who changes the most between the short story and the game. His entire backstory differs in the book, likely because it would have been too similar to Nimdocs if it had been translated to the game. In the short story, according to Ted, he had once been a handsome, brilliant, and homosexual scientist, and Am tortured him by stripping him of each of these assets, including his sexuality, committing the horrible crime of making him straight, stupid, and ugly. The story goes as far to describe that Am had given him a massive dick, which was thankfully not translated into the game. In the game, Benny was an army commander before Am changed him, who was guilty of the sin of shooting one of his own men because he thought they would slow them down, in addition to 3 witnesses. In Benny's scenario, he has to learn to think of people other than himself, and to be more than the animal he appears to be. Benny's presence in the story is less about his individual lesson to learn, and more about his punishment for existing under Am's rule. Benny represents the ultimate power Am has over the survivors. His form and existence says, "There is nothing about you that I cannot change for my own amusement. Your thoughts, your face, your body, your values, your intelligence, your sexuality, your senses. All of them are mine, to alter as I see fit." And so, Benny is tortured by the body he has been forced to inhabit. Zubul is, in my opinion, a much more light and optimistic take on Benny. Zubul is an irritable but well-meaning character whose most distinctive trait is their physical appearance and their dissatisfaction over it. In episode 3, Zubul sits down to have a sort of therapy session with Cain after not going on adventures for the first 3 episodes. In this session, we learn 2 things. 1, Cain is not capable of caring or understanding anybody's emotions but his own.
Zubul, look at this cool bee I drew!
And secondly, Zubul is intensely dissatisfied by their jumbled up physical appearance, which explains why Zubul hadn't been present in many adventures until that point. Or maybe it's because her giant model wouldn't have fit in here or there or any other small cramped space. #noticing. Zubul tries changing their appearance with new parts every episode, but nothing seems to fit right. They're also upset at the fact they're unable to have sex, which is a normal thing to be upset about. Humans, mostly, enjoy having sex. Being stripped of that ability would definitely lead to the afflicted being upset about it. This bodily dissatisfaction can be interpreted as a representation of gender dysphoria. Zooble may be moody, but they are someone who cares. They set up a funeral for Kaufmo at the end of the second episode. They're empathetic towards Pomni after being transported to the circus, and they're very supportive of Gangle, really helping her come out of her shell in the last few episodes. Zooble and Benny have a lot in common, and they are both based around the idea of their body being distorted and twisted to the point of being a prison. Their AI overlords seem to have paid special attention to them over other survivors in many ways, as Kane constantly tries to impress Zooble throughout the series.
Why did you think I would like that?
And Am physically tortures Benny more than any other character. Both Benny and Zooble have been stripped of their sexuality. I am citing the book's backstory for Benny here, but I still think it's a valid point of comparison to make. But I don't think Benny and Zooble are one-to-one. I think Zooble's dysphoria and body image is a character trait that's meant to be something relatable to people who struggle with it, which is a great change. Benny's physical distortions are meant to serve more as reminders of the absolute power Am has over the survivors, and to freak out the viewer a bit. I'm glad Zooble takes this more positive direction for their character, as I don't think making them a torture toy would have been a good idea. Nonetheless, Zooble's relatable, real-world struggles were a great way to translate Benny's physical distortions and suffering into a modern, more kind and hopeful adaptation. I'll start this one by saying Nimdok is by far my least favorite character of the original survivors. In the original story, it's difficult to identify how he relates, if at all, to the other survivors. Nimdok is a withered old man with a German accent, and in the game, he was a doctor who assisted the monstrous Dr. Mengele in mutilating hundreds of innocent men, women, and children during the Holocaust, in the name of science. The characters throughout his scenario even refer to him as a butcher, which is an accurate description considering a child is downright terrified of him, calling him a legend. Something defining about Nimdok is that he can't actually remember the atrocities he has committed. He has to piece together what he had done by talking to his victims and co-conspirators. In the good path, he comes to realize what he has done and tries to atone for his mistakes, by giving control of a powerful golem to the Jewish people instead of using it to wipe them out during a breakout. Unlike in the real world, where Dr. Mengele's work essentially amounted to nothing but medical malpractice and obtuse cruelty for the Jewish people, in this scenario it is shown that his discoveries became tools Am used in its games, explanations for the otherworldly power Am wields against the survivors. His work not only created technology used to rearrange DNA at will, but Nimdok helped create a serum that provided immortality to those who drank it, giving an explanation to how the survivors of Am's game have not aged for 109 years. Now, how this connects to Kinger is more theory than fact at this point, but with how these connections keep being made, I still think it's very likely that Kinger and Nimdok share the helped create the situation the characters are in part of their backstory. Kinger is someone who isn't quite all there. Most of the time, what he says doesn't make sense, and his failing memory is something that the two share. He frequently forgets what he's doing and where people are, and also like Nimdok, he is in fact the oldest character according to Kinger isn't always a nutcase. When he's in the dark, it is revealed that he can think much more clearly and remember much more about his past and the world around him, which gives explanation for why he always stays in his fort or puts a bucket on his head. When Kinger's head is clear, it's shown he can be a much more wise and even helpful person. When he's like this in episode 3, he mumbles something about
7 years of computer science for this, huh?
Fun fact, takes about 5 years for the average person to complete a PhD in computer science, meaning Kinger was at one point likely some sort of computer genius, which could, in theory, give him the skills he needed to create or help create the digital circus. Additionally, in episode 6, Kinger says this:
I couldn't help but hate myself for the things I thought I was responsible for.
Which is another giant hint he had helped create the circus in some way. Kinger helping to create the digital circus is a very, very popular theory, and I fully believe that at this point, it might as well be canon. I firmly believe that Kinger, before being transported here, has at least worked on creating the digital circus, Kane, or both. I think the Nimdok comparison makes that all the more likely that he has, and if he doesn't, I will be very, very surprised. Pushing this theory even further, in episode 6, Kinger is able to just summon a butterfly to heal Ragatha with no explanation. Is this something everyone can do? Is this something he remembers how to do from creating the game? Either way, him being able to do it first furthers both the Kinger helped create the circus theory and his connection to Nimdok. Kinger and Nimdok are both people who've forgotten who they are and what they've done. While Kinger's arc has not been completed yet, I think they'll continue to go on the path to remember who they are, and like Nimdok, face what he's done. Beneath it all and what he might have done though, when his head is in the right place, Kinger is a kind, gentle soul who has given great pieces of advice to characters who need it. I believe that both Jax and Ted are the most complicated and interesting characters of their respective stories. Among the survivors of Am's torment, Ted has, by far, the most depth. Ted is defined by his intense, deranged paranoia. What appears to be a suave ladies' man is someone who cannot trust anything around him, not even his own thoughts. In the original story, Ted acted as the narrator, and throughout the tale he's tormented more by his own thoughts than any other character. He holds a particular distrust against Ellen. In the short story, he looks down on Ellen for having sex with the other survivors to sort of keep them sane, an act he also takes part in, but an act he seems not to enjoy. Even when Ellen sleeps with him twice out of turn, he doesn't see it as Ellen being appreciative of him that he had found food earlier, he sees it as Ellen trying to get on his good side, to trick him. His relationship with Ellen is the most important character relationship in the story, as it's touched on even in the game, where relationships between characters are almost never touched on in favor of exploring individual characters' psyches. In the game, his outward distrust for Ellen is replaced by an inward admiration of her. She is the titular princess in the tower that he needs to save in his scenario. Unlike in the short story, Ted is outwardly charismatic in the game, vain even, which Am implies is a massive front for his true feelings.
What is happening? What? Oh, please don't kick me, please don't kick me, please don't kick. No, 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 no. Oh my god. Oh no. Sorry. Oh no, 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 no. No. What? No. 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 No, 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 no. Oh no. Oh my god. Oh no. Shoots. Ah, that's so unfortunate. Oh, dang it. Okay. Dang. Oh my god. What is that? What is that? What happened? What just happened? They patched it? They patched everything.
BoJollybot said,
I asked everyone
what the fuck?
if it was okay.
IDK. No.
I asked everyone if
It's
the dropper
over.
skip was okay. No, it's
What the
not
hell?
over. It's not over.
Well, now you're good enough to beat it at least.
Oh, yeah, I can do it.
Today
I
is
can do
cursed.
it.
Don't
But
play
today
ETOH.
is-
Rip.
I don't forget it.
Literally everyone who got far today has lost their run.
Dang. Oh, dang. That sucks.
Who's playing the Demon Slayer? Open it.
Me. Is Demon Slayer movie?
Hey, we gotta watch it.
How are you not screaming, bro, loudly crying?
Don't mind.
Underreaction.
Actually. I'm not even like. If I'm going to make a serious video on this, I should probably.
Plop said, who is
make
we
it-
pleb?
Whoa, I'm so.
BoJollybot said, im pissed on F10 top fail bro heartbreak. Wait, make a neon exposal video.
Oh, that
Saying he
sucks.
got kicked
Sucks,
for
sucks,
hacking.
sucks, sucks,
11.
sucks. Oh, I don't know. I
Pleb
should-
the
I
elf
should
Maxman
be-
said, IDK me and Mausen.
Where's Mason? Wait, where is Mason? Mason's here.
I didn't mean Together,
Right here.
but
Oh, there we go.
Plop said, but you aren't in
that
Illinois.
Sucks, man.
Ayot.
Oh, that sucks. That sucks. That sucks.
Yeah,
that sucks,
I was
that
watching you.
sucks.
I just saw you get eviscerated when you hit the WINPAD.
Pleb
Okay,
the
I'm
elf
gonna stop
Maxman
recording.
said,